Literature often hides its villains in the shadows, revealing their motives only when it's too late. Richard of Gloucester is different. He walks right up to you, looks you in the eye, and smiles, explaining exactly how he plans to ruin everyone around him. This is King Edward IV. After years of brutal civil war, his victory has brought a rare moment of stability to England. The fighting has stopped, the York family is on the throne, and the realm is at rest. But look at his brother, Richard. This portrait captures a man physically and emotionally alienated from this new peace. While the rest of the court celebrates, Richard stands apart, dressed in somber tones, watching with an intense, resentful gaze. He has no place in a world that no longer needs soldiers. Because he cannot fit into this peaceful society, he decides to dismantle it. Richard brings us into his confidence immediately. He breaks the fourth wall to outline his specific plans to manipulate, betray, and murder his way to the crown. These direct confessions turn a passive historical account into a shared secret. We become his silent partners, watching the trap being set from the inside. His first move targets his own family. His brother Clarence stands between him and the throne. But Richard doesn't reach for a blade. Instead, he weaponizes words. He plants forged prophecies and whispers lies to King Edward, until the king, fueled by suspicion, has Clarence imprisoned and quietly executed. Next, he intercepts Lady Anne while she is mourning over the coffin of her father-in-law, a man Richard helped kill. It is a moment of pure audacity. He absorbs her insults and deflects her hatred with feigned devotion. By targeting her grief and her pride, he manages the impossible. He convinces her to marry him while she is still standing over the body of his victim. Richard eliminates these early obstacles through conversation and timing, clearing his path to the throne without needing to draw a sword in open combat. When King Edward dies, a power vacuum opens. Richard moves instantly, seizing control of the king's young sons, the rightful heirs to the throne. This historical view of the Tower of London shows the fortress where Richard brings the boys. He claims he is acting as their protector, but once they pass through these gates, they are never seen in public again. While they are hidden away, Richard launches a misinformation campaign. He circulates rumors that the princes are illegitimate, legally stripping them of their right to rule. He completes the takeover with a final piece of political theater. Standing before the nobles, he performs a display of religious humility, repeatedly turning down the crown until the crowd is manipulated into begging him to accept it. By maintaining the illusion of reluctance, Richard secures total victory. He successfully transitions from a bitter outcast to the crowned King of England. The skills Richard used to steal the throne offer him no help in keeping it. Ruling a kingdom requires a stability that his path to power has already destroyed. His calculated strategy decays into desperate violence. To protect his position, he begins executing his former allies and anyone else he perceives as a threat. This painting captures the vulnerability of the young princes in the tower. Richard orders them murdered in their beds, a crime so severe it permanently turns the public and the nobility against his reign. Guilt and fear replace his former confidence. He is haunted by the consequences of his actions, losing the focus that made him unstoppable. The man who once calculated every move now reacts only to his own suspicion. As his supporters vanish, Richard is left alone with the one person he can no longer manipulate, himself. This portrait shows Henry Tudor, who rises as a challenger to Richard's chaos. He gathers those who have been alienated by Richard's brutality and prepares for a final confrontation. On the eve of battle, Richard is visited by the ghosts of his victims. They curse him and bless his enemy, leaving him shaken and isolated. This plan of Bosworth Field shows the scale of the final battle. Richard fights with a desperate intensity, but his allies begin to desert him as the tide turns. His famous cry for a horse captures the sudden, brutal reality of his collapse. The man who orchestrated a national takeover now finds his life depends on a single piece of logistics, and the kingdom he seized has nothing left to give him. Henry Tudor defeats him, becoming King Henry VII and ending the years of internal conflict. Richard's story suggests that the most effective villains don't always lurk in the dark. Sometimes they tell you exactly who they are, and we still find ourselves listening anyway. His ambition eventually turns to an obsession that consumes everything, including the crown he sacrificed his humanity to wear.